Welcome to Johnsequitur, a show about everything.
He talks about the stereotypes that are still there because he's a trans, and he says something about, well, they need to get something or die, basically. They need to change their minds or die. And I'm like, God, that's the right.
Yeah.
like, I'm at this point in my life, I'm just like, fuck, like.
I kind of wish that
anything.
I'm gonna have to cut like 10 minutes of this shit. But
Oh yeah, that's fine.
I'm kind of at the point where I wish that conservatives and the GOP would go away. Period. We don't need it. They have nothing to offer. It's all bad. All they want to do is obstruct. That's all they do.
Did you see the Arizona state legislature? It's kind of like Pennsylvania, where we consistently pretty much have a Democrat governor, but the state's so gerrymandered that you have Republican control of almost both houses at all times.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's how Arizona is. And they're trying to pass a law that basically gives the legislature power to, if they don't like the election results, they can overturn them. In Michigan, so do you know about the Flint, Michigan water crisis with the lead?
Mm-hmm. It has not been even remotely touched.
Well, no. The former governor is on trial right now.
Well, that's good.
But that's pretty much what that state was like. They had a law that any of these, it didn't matter if it was mayoral elections in a small town in Michigan, if the state didn't like the outcome, that person would stay in that position, but the state could bring in their own people to, quote, correct whatever problem they felt perceived. And so that's what happened in Flint, because they had black or Democratic leaders, and the governor said, no way, we don't like the way they're doing things. Well, I'm going to send in my own people, and that's what caused the whole lead crisis, because they did things that they felt they didn't care because of the black community, black city, and I'm just like, this fucking fascism. Like, how do you not see that? Like,
people don't like to use that word because they think it is strictly Nazis.
Concentration camp.
That is not what fascism is. This is fascism. I mean, and it needs to be called fascism. Like, don't be afraid to do it. Like, and the thing that bothers me the most is that the GOP, I feel like without gerrymandering, without, like, tampering with shit, because these election fraud accusations, there is sometimes election fraud from the GOP. They're the ones doing it. So without this kind of shit that they're throwing in here, I feel like they would never win. Or hardly ever win. Yeah, they wouldn't.
That's why they have to do this. Because population, that's why Biden can win by 7.5 million votes, but he was only elected by under 100,000 votes.
Yeah, you need that electoral college, man.
Yeah, it's don't get me started.
No, go ahead. I can chop this up and turn it into a Johnsequitur. I don't care.
No, I know. I see some of the stuff you post on Facebook whenever I do jump on, and I'm just like, I just laugh. I'm just like, I'm like Mr. Burns. I'm like, excellent, John. Like, let the hate flow.
It just, I don't have tolerance for it. I don't. I
had an argument with my dad, like, it was right before Christmas, because we didn't go over for Christmas. I just dropped some gifts off, because I'm the only one in my family that remotely tries to take COVID seriously. And president-elect, and he like said something about, I don't try to say anything because I know it'll just lead to arguments, but like he'll always try to say something to try to goad me, I guess. And he was just talking about, he just said something basically about like election corruption, voter corruption, and I said Trump's campaign took it to courts. They told him there's nothing there.
These are his judges too. They're his judges.
I said it got to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said we're not going to hear it because there's nothing here.
Mm-hmm.
I said it's a conservative Supreme Court, and he didn't understand. He's like just ignorant to the fact that it's a 6-3 conservative Supreme Court, and that Trump nominated 3 of them.
I thought that's why he did it too. I thought that's why he put them in there before the election, so that when this shit went down, they would vote for him. And I'm really shocked they didn't.
Because there wasn't anything there.
Well, exactly.
I think it was because I think it was because Roberts, Chief Justice, Trump is not the hill we die on.
Ah, well, good choice. Yeah.
Sadly, if there was somebody as manipulative and evil that was just a bit smarter,
which is what I'm worried about in 3 years.
Yes, I'm terrified. In 2 years, I'm terrified.
Mm-hmm.
They'll take the House if shit doesn't start getting done.
Now. Right now. Like...
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
I mean, I understand he's signed 50-plus executive orders.
Well, it's easy to build a house. It's hard to build a house. It's really easy to knock it down. So it takes a lot of laws, but it's easy to come in and sign 50 of them that take away all the ones that were there. He needs to do something of his own accord now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to bash Biden, but man, Biden is just another problem.
Oh, it's like when he came out yesterday and said the White House is observing what's going on with the stock market, and I just thought, fuck, like what the fuck? Like, you're protecting billionaires. This isn't going to get you. They're going to lose the House in 22, and possibly because of how old he is, and if he doesn't do anything, they're going to lose both the Senate and the House, or the White House in 2024.
He's not running again in 2024. He already said he's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was hoping he was elected saying that it was a 4-year run. But that's what terrifies me. And they're all like, well, we can't get rid of the filibuster because that'll upset Mitch McConnell. And it's just like, if you get rid of the filibuster and pass whatever you want for the next 4 years, people will see that shit is getting done, and you'll get reelected in 4 years. Like, yeah, they're afraid. They're
actually counting on. They're counting on losing the House and/or the Senate. They're counting on it, so they're making sure that when that happens inevitably, they can use the filibuster. It's the fucking... Why would you not plan for, let's keep this thing? First of all, how do we keep it? Make sure they can't block our shit.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, oh my... When people voted in Georgia for those 2 senators, they were promised $2,000 on day 1. It became $1,400 maybe after I compromise with people who haven't even told me yet they want to compromise. That's...
And let me take time to tell Robinhood app that they need to not rob the rich. Give to the poor.
God damn it. So, I can't imagine, first of all, how many senators got called in the middle of the night 2 nights ago by these rich motherfuckers.
I'm sure there was an emergency session, too. We need to fix this problem quick.
Yeah. And how, first of all, how is it a problem? Is it a problem when you do it?
Yeah.
No. So it's not a problem. I'm so, like, I thought Well, I didn't actually. You said you read my Facebook sometimes. I didn't think that electing Biden was going to fix a lot. I didn't think this year was going to be better, and so far it's been shit. It's just been a continuation of the shit. God, I'm so uncomfortable with, like you said, the fact that there's going to be a more competent version of Trump who's capable of doing shit, bad shit, and they don't see it or they don't care. It's one or the other.
The only thing I hope, I am seeing numbers. Pennsylvania, there's been upwards of, between 10 and 11,000 Republicans have changed parties since January 6th. Arizona's about the same, 10,000. Some of the other swing states, North Carolina, I think there's been almost 8,000.
It's a start. But
I still am kind of thinking, like, I hope that people saw that on the 6th and saw that the Republicans didn't do anything about it and just went, this isn't my party. I mean, that was me. I didn't vote in Obama's second term. I didn't vote for president because I didn't like either.
Oh, then you were wise to this shit before a lot of people were.
So I started. Well, I was all about, like, I voted Bush twice. Dumbass.
Good move. Well, I mean, what was he running against? Jesus Christ. I mean, I can't blame you too much.
But I voted for who ran against Obama in the first term? Was that McCain? Yeah, that was McCain.
McCain the first time, yeah.
Yeah, I voted for McCain just because that's what I was raised with, and that's how I grew up. And then I was in graduate school then, and then that's when my thinking started to change. I still voted for McCain, and that was about the time I started, like, looking at all the conservative stuff when it comes to, like, gay marriage. I'm like, really? That's a problem? Like, why are we even arguing about this? And why is this an issue? But I was all about, like, yeah, we need to go to war. But I was kind of changing. And then the first time I heard Bernie speak.
Oh, okay.
Running into the 2016, and then that's when I was like, who is this man? And that's when I was, like, completely changed to, like,
the statistic that blows my mind the most, and it speaks to what you're talking about, Trump won Florida by a whole lot.
Yes. And
Florida,
by a lot.
Florida also voted, 80% of the state voted for a raise in minimum wage. So, in effect,
they're passing all this shit in the state, but they're not. They're passing all of these types of things that, like, Bernie comes out and says, we need $15 minimum wage now, and Fox News says, that's socialism. But then, like you said, Florida's like, shit, we need to pass this now because it's popular. But they keep it, like, on the down level. They don't.
Yeah. People vote against their betterment, their own betterment. They vote against themselves. And I think uneducated voters don't understand that Republicans are doing things against their interest. They don't understand that. They're like, well, of course the Republicans aren't voting against $15 minimum wage. Why would they do that? They are. They don't know that they are, but they are.
That's because somebody who thinks they're making a lot of money or enough to survive at, I'm making $12.50. Why should somebody flipping burgers make $15? And it's like, I do understand there are certain mom, pa, whatever you want to call it, businesses that couldn't afford to pay somebody around here $15 an hour to do something. But Walmart, I'm sorry, can afford to pay $15 an hour.
Do you know how you can fix this problem of the small shops not getting enough money by raising minimum wage.
Wealthy.
You could tax the wealthy. That's one. You could do UBI. UBI would be huge.
Universal basic income.
Yeah. I mean, that would give them some money to put away for their small businesses. Both of these things, any argument from here on out that anyone makes in government where they say we don't have it, fuck you. You have it. We've seen it. We know you have it. Quit lying. You have it. And it's being used for things like missiles that drop knives in Yemen. Give me a fucking break.
Yes. Those horrific images of like children starving in Yemen, and I'm just like, yeah, they look like terrorists. Like pro-life people are just like, yeah, they're terrorists.
The fact is, we keep hiring people. Do you know what Raytheon is? I rail against Raytheon a lot.
Yeah, I look at background checks on these people all the time. So
they are scattered throughout the government in places of power, decision making. Biden has hired a whole bunch of them, which of course he is. He's a fucking war hawk, but these people make these missiles that I'm talking about, and we pay the taxes that go towards these missiles. So whenever somebody says, why should I have to pay for somebody's welfare? Why should I have to pay for somebody's work, UBI, health insurance? Because that's what you should want your taxes to go towards. And like, nobody understands where they're going right now. We are still paying taxes right now. Where do you think it's going? It's not going towards people. It's going towards bombs.
Yes. to sell to somebody else. I did see Biden put a halt on some of those missile or arms deals to Middle Eastern countries that Trump had signed right before he lost the election.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. How does that benefit us?
It absolutely does not. Bernie gave a speech about this shit once, where he was like, we're not even fucking fighting anybody. We're fighting no one.
People think, like, they go, well, our country's making money by selling these sales. And I'm like, are you seeing any of this money? No, the defense contract is seeing all of the money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand. I can't argue. I'm tired of arguing with my parents, especially my dad, like I said, who watched Fox News 24/7 since the pandemic started and didn't know who was being nominated to a Supreme Court judge.
Wow.
Because he didn't know. He couldn't believe me when I said that it was a conservative Supreme Court. And he was just like, no, it's not. And I'm like, what the fuck you been watching on Fox News?
It's overwhelmingly, yeah.
Trump nominated 3.
One of the best things that McConnell has, I mean best as in like most efficient things that he's done, not best, but he's stacked the courts the entire time he's been in there, and he's been doing a horrifying but very efficient job of it. So, is your dad at the point yet where he thinks that Fox News is too left and he's swinging over to OAN?
If I thought he was smart enough to figure out where he could find OAN or Newsmax,
oh yeah,
I think he'd be there. He did say something to the effect of like, I don't even know why I watch that anymore, like Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, he's getting there then. Like it's so crazy what Trump did to people that they don't even like the party they like. They don't like the news that's slanted towards them. They want something even crazier.
And it's sadly, Lindsey Graham was the smartest one out of all of them when he said, if we elect Trump, we'll destroy ourselves and we'll deserve it. Yes, you will.
Well, he's fine. He goes where the money is. So he's the slimiest fucker of all of them. He's not evil. He's slimy. Like, that's how I describe him.
I have no doubt early on, because he was like best friends with McCain, hated Trump early on within that term, Lindsey Graham went golfing with Trump, and all of a sudden, like, he was just like, we need to support this man, and Trump is the greatest, and I have no doubt Trump slid a folder over with evidence of Lindsey Graham being gay.
Oh,
sounds terrible. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
But, and I feel like Trump just went, they got me too, buddy. Like the Russians.
Yeah.
And it's just, and then it was just, from there on out, it was, toe the Trump line. And, sadly, it appears the only one with no dirt on him in the Conservative Party is Mitt Romney. Which is, like, amazing to me.
Yeah.
Because, like, he voted to convict Trump in the first impeachment.
He voted for one of the two things. That was...
Yeah, I know, but he still did
still
it,
something, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, so is he the only one with no dirt on him? But
I never thought that I would think that Mitt Romney was a sensible human being. Honestly, his policy ideas suck, but he's still a sensible human being.
Yes. No, you're not wrong. No, I thought the same thing. I thought, oh my God, like, Mitt Romney is the... Because that was the election I sat out. I didn't vote for either.
Yeah.
But, oh God. And then I had to just watch these Bernie memes, and I'm just like, the man had to sit there and think, I should be president. I should have been president twice. I should be starting my second term now.
Yeah, the best of the Bernie memes was the one that said they'll put him anywhere except the White House.
I didn't see that, but that's great.
Just, I've never, I guess 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I paid attention to politics kind of on the outside. I was more about policies and the people in them, and I disagreed with most of the people around this area on their policies.
Well, yeah.
When I really got into it and started paying attention to things like the DNC and the primary and what they did to Bernie this time, the first time was bad. It was bad.
Oh, yeah.
This was egregious and awful and disgusting. Like, especially since early on, when there was like 15 fucking candidates, Biden was the last person I even remotely thought had a chance. I'm like, well, fucking Buttigieg and Klobuchar and all these fucking people. Yeah. That's who Bernie's gonna have to beat. Every time Biden talked, it was like, why is he still here? And then there were several times when they like said he was gonna drop out, and he didn't. And I'm like, what the fuck is he still around for? And then that day when he went out and he was like, vote for the other Biden, and everyone dropped out at the same time and backed him, I'm like, oh, fuck, they're fucking him again.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
So I know that there's like a lot of people who are super happy that Biden's there. I'm not at all. Like...
I'm happy in that I can watch the news or read the news and I don't have to listen to Trump.
Right.
But at the same time, I think we're safer. But
it's a miserable bar to have cleared.
It's that this shit stinks a little less than the other shit. It's basically what it is. This part stinks a little bit less than.
And that's why I agree with you. It's so vital that they get shit done fast.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if they get shit done now, like, Biden can't coast on vaccines and a stimulus for 4 years. He's got to keep doing shit. Like, man, it really worries me because there's just not enough people that... Go ahead.
I mean, I hope, obviously. I think eventually, they are given the first year, as a quote, we're trying to work with the right, which, whatever, I don't agree with.
No, I don't either.
I think after the first year, if McConnell is McConnell, and that they're picking up one or two conservative votes for policy, get the filibuster-proof policy passed. I think they may look at abolishing the filibuster and trying to.
I know you're being realistic.
I know.
I think they should have done it already. Need to do it now. And
yeah.
Bernie's talking about just using that majority thing to just push it. I think they need to. Yeah. I think they just need to ignore everything that the GOP has to say. Ignore it. They're not helping. Their deficit hawk bullshit needs to just shut up. Just shut up.
There is something that they should be able to pass a couple. So Nixon, on his way out the door, passed some policy thing, some bill, where he gave more budget funding, something to Congress, because he was in a position where if he didn't like something, he would just take that money and put it somewhere else. Like, he had that power.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they were trying to get something passed back then to give more power to Congress for budgeting. And on his way out the door, he was trying everything he could to save himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he passed something where he gave this funding, some bill that gave a lot more power to Congress. And so apparently this is still policy. Because for some reason they didn't pass something last year. There was no universal funding bill voted on last year,
right?
Even though the Republicans controlled. And for some reason that carries over to this year, and we still have this year. So technically the Democrats have two things where they could pass policy, and they would have the 51-50 majority to pass it. And it's kind of like, what's that going to be used for? Infrastructure, immigration, voting rights, that type of thing. So technically they could pass two things this year and have a 51-50 and not have to go through the filibuster 60% or 60 vote passing. So if they now there's so many things that need done. It's like, what do you choose? And that's always been a problem with the Democrats, the more liberal wing. Like, you have a lot more groups of people to please rather than just white people on the conservative side. So, so technically they could pass two things this year without having the 60 vote and trying to grab, 9 conservatives, because that ain't going to happen. So that's why I'm thinking they pass a couple things this year, and at the end of this year, if the Republicans aren't doing anything, that they do with filibuster. Like, what? It doesn't. If you pass things, you're gonna get reelected. So therefore, I understand. There's this weird thing where people say, well, for the foreseeable future, at least in the next whatever years, conservatives are going to have the majority of the time in the Senate because of the gerrymandering and stuff that's already been done. But if you pass things, people will start voting for you.
Yeah, and it's a pretty simple thing.
If they use Stacey Abrams turn Georgia blue, like, use her, how she did all the get out the vote and all that kind of stuff. Whatever plan they used, use that in Texas. Use that in these other states that are kind of on the verge of turning.
Yeah, Texas almost did during the election, and at the last second they didn't. Yep.
If you put money into that too, like whatever they did positive in Georgia, keep doing it. Like, keep putting money towards it.
there's so many tiers of this that I don't even know where to put my priority. I think a high priority is just completely just destroying the GOP. That's part of my priority. Make it so it's gone. But I'm not a make everything blue kind of person. I think the most important thing that they do is policy-wise all of the time.
Yeah.
And the policies they need to put first are the ones that help the most people, and then work your way down. I know that getting reelected and keeping the GOP from taking control of either body is important. But like you said, pass things. And what things do you pass that give you the most chance to be elected? Policies that help people, like that actually make a difference. So get to it, man. Get to it. Like,
I understand.
But I feel like really when it comes down to it, even though like the GOP are literal ghouls and just disgusting, they're both a party of corporations. They're a corporate party. They have corporate interests, and there's very few members of the government that are scattered throughout who have the people's like thoughts in mind. And slowly, the longer this goes, they're going to become part of that corporate thing too. They can only hold out for so long. Then it's going to come down to you're not going to have the financial backing to keep your position anymore, because that's what this is. You need money to stay in government. And if you're against corporations and corporations run the government, you can't stay in office. So they've got to push harder to get more people like themselves in there and get policies pushed that help people. And I'm saying that like, yeah, just go do it. Go do it. And it's not that easy. It's just not.
No, I know what you're saying about, like, you're basically saying sellouts. Eventually, you're in so long.
AOC's heading that direction slowly. You can see it. Like, AOC, she's still going out to, like, strikes and marching with people in her district. She's still doing stuff like that.
I still think she's fighting the fight.
She is, but every now and then you get the feeling that she's saying the right things. The best thing that I can say to sum up how I feel about everything is there's a meme that says, like, conservatives, we can't fix it. And then Democrats, we can't fix it, with a rainbow. Or, we can fix it. Oh, no, we can't. We don't have the money. We wish we could, but we can't. That's what I feel like with her. She pushes the right ideas, but she doesn't do them.
I don't know. I still think she's fighting the fight.
I'm not going to rail against her like I am Biden. I'm not.
No, you were saying, like, we want to fix it, we just don't have the money. I feel like Biden, they tried to put some legislation through of $15 an hour by
2025.
What was it?
2025.
And it's like, well, okay, we've been wanting this for 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
so by the time 2025 comes around, it'll be like making $10.50 an hour again.
Yeah, exactly. This is... what a perfect plan. Just...
So, yeah, seeing somebody change, whenever they get a little bit of money. I used to love the comedian Bill Burr.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who Bill Burr is?
Yeah.
So he was on like Conan a lot and stuff like that, and I think there was a skit on Conan, and he was talking about Lance Armstrong, and he was talking about how who cares if Lance Armstrong was Jewish, and how much money did he raise, and all the people accepting all that money, did they give it back whenever he got caught juicing? And he uses the line, "How big's your fucking yacht have to be?" Basically.
Yeah.
And then he has a podcast. I think it's called the Monday Morning Podcast or something like that. I used to listen to it a lot, and eventually he just became this like older middle-aged white man who just complained, and I was like, oh god, he's another Adam Carolla. Like, I used to like Adam Carolla until I became early middle
this cancel culture that Corolla and Burr push, if you're not funny, that's not cancel culture. You're just not funny.
Well, so Bill Burr's thing, like I said, he had that line, like, how big's your fucking yacht have to be? And then there was one interview I saw in the last couple of years, and he started bitching about taxes. Because I thought, and then I started thinking, oh, okay, well, you're in more movies now, you're making more money, and now you like that, so you want the big yacht now. You want a bigger yacht next year. Like,
so it's like,
thought, God, you fucking sell out.
So it's like, how big does your yacht have to be? I'm gonna find out.
Yes. And it pained me in my heart, because I thought, like, and then he's sold out. Like, he became.
It's really hard for me to wrap my head around as a, how would you act if you were offered an insane amount of money to completely change your ideals? Like, I don't know. I'd love to think that I'm the good kind of person that would be like, fuck this shit, I'm gonna stay broke and keep fighting this fight, but...
What's that, I know that there's the whole thing about how, like, oh, we're in this meme culture and memes don't mean anything and you can't really dictate policy with memes and stuff. But I do like the meme, or somebody tweeted, I think I read that, it said, I would like to find out how much money it meant, or how much money
I put that up
before I realized it didn't matter.
Yeah, I put that up. I'm like, I wish I was rich enough to know that money doesn't make you happy. Yeah.
Yeah. I would just love it, but I don't know. I mean, I would like to think I would never, I wouldn't need a big yacht, but it pained me when Bill Burr said that. And then I heard him complain about how much does the fucking government need to take in taxes? And I thought, oh, like, yeah, so.
I need to end the Blue Rose podcast here, and then cut all this. So
well, you got a bit of a Johnsequitur there if you want.
Sweet! I've been lacking episodes. All right, that's it for Johnsequitur, impromptu. Thanks, Ben. If you want to find us, we're on Facebook. Just look up Johnsequitur. We are on Spotify. We are on Podbean, and